get them gods out your life. You're trying to stay pleased. You want to stay pleased with these things in your life, but you're making sacrifices to these other gods. And one of our biggest gods we make sacrifices for and we offer sacrifices to is pleasure. So that I can be pleased. I want to stay pleased, whether it's entertainment, whether it's with houses, whether it's with cars or food or music. We'll make those sacrifices so that we can keep that pleasure there. And I'm running out of time, so I'm gonna try to carry it along real quick. But one thing I want us all to just remember, just put this as a thought in your head. Don't expect God to bless what you're trying to put in His place. Do not expect God to bless what you're trying to put in His place. And we all can relate to that. Guess what? Most women ain't about to add on to what you're trying to put in her place, whether it's the game, TV. She not about to. That's why she ain't cool with you trying to get the 60-inch screen TV with surround sound, because she know you about to be in front of there making them sacrifices to that God, and you supposed to be with me. When every time football season come around, my me time goes away. I don't get as much attention. So, babe, I seen they got the new 60 inches on TVs on sale. I don't care if it is on sale. You don't need one. You don't need a bigger God, a bigger altar up in the house for you to go sacrifice and make your sacrifices to every Sunday after church. and guys will do the same thing. Well, I think I need a little bit more space in the closet. We don't need no more space in the closet so you can have space for your sacrifices to your beauty God and all these clothes and shoes and purses you got sitting up in your closet. You need to put your sacrifices in there so you want more room. No. And who gonna do it anyway? Me? I gotta get in there? Like, I know Pastor fixing his bathroom. I gotta get in there and fix the bathroom? So don't expect God to bless what we're trying to put in His place. And usually we can tell what those things are when we look back and we ask ourselves, or you look into your own life and kind of can see that these are the things that I'm most frustrated with in my life. These are the areas where I'm the most frustrated because I'm pursuing these things and I keep pursuing these things, but it seems like it's never enough. It's never enough. And now I'm frustrated because I want my marriage to be like this, and it's not. So I'm beginning to really put my marriage in God's place, where in all honesty, you're really putting your spouse in God's place, and they still don't return to you and fulfill you the way you're looking to be fulfilled. And now I'm frustrated because I thought we talked about how we was going to set time aside for each other, and then when I come and say, okay, so today we still go to movies, hey, I can't do it today. Well, what happened? Because I'm trying to make this work. It don't seem like you're trying to make it work. I mean, yeah, I want it to work, of course. I love you, but the game on. The game on. Or this is going on. Or whatever it is, it might be. Or, they got the car show going on down the thing. I told what's the name we was going to go. I forgot. I'm sorry. And now you're frustrated because now you want your marriage to be where in the place where God ought to be, and though you keep making these sacrifices for your marriage, you're never fulfilled. You're never fulfilled, and if it ain't marriage, it's finances. If it ain't your finances, it could be your career, it could be your sex life, it could be all these different things that we find pleasure in, and we're trying to put them in God's place, and then this is what eventually happens. I'm gonna take a quick detour. We try to put them in God's place, and we try to convince ourselves that we're not doing it. But when we hear things like the first commandment, thou shalt not have any other gods before me, we'll say, okay, God, I won't put nothing else before you. So you're God, you got first place, but I'm gonna put this second, this third, this fourth, this fifth, and so on and so on. And then when we begin to pray to really ask God to change these things in our lives, we're not really worshiping or asking God to change these things. We'll acknowledge God, and then we'll worship these other things in our life. Okay, when I'm praying, okay, God, I'm so thankful for my husband and for my wife, for you blessing me to have to be married in the first place. But I need this. I need him to change like this, or I need her to change like that. I need her to start doing this, or I need her to start doing that, and I need her to start. Now you're no longer talking to God. You're worshiping, and you're really bringing your request to that God, the marriage God, who is unsatisfying. But we think that in acknowledging God first, we're really making a request to God. And God, like, man, you're just sitting here worshiping this other God that you got to. They ain't in my place, but you got them sitting next to me. If this was God's throne, nothing else sits up here. There is no God number 1s, 2, and 3s, because when you worship and serve God and God alone, he puts those other things in their right order. Because guess what? Sometimes it's not that person that needs to change, it's you. But when you're worshiping God, he'll tell you, like, no, you might want to listen to what he's saying, because he's not the one with the problem. You are. But now that marriage God's not going to tell you that, because it's the pleasure in God. He's just going to say, you right. You know what? You right. He need to change. He need to stop doing so-and-so. He's the reason your marriage isn't going the way it's supposed to be going. It's him. It's not you. You're the perfect wife. Like my wife, she's the perfect wife. She does everything right. I need to step my game up. I need to do better. But I don't pray to the marriage God. I pray to my God, who say, well, Rob, then you need to change the way you think. Because Sade, what she's saying is true. You need to do that. She need that time, bro. Ain't nothing else that important that you gonna sacrifice your marriage? Because I'm the one that put y'all together in the first place. So this quote unquote marriage God you praying to try to just agree with you to make you seem like you're the perfect spouse that's lying to you, he'll never fulfill you, and your marriage will stay broken, and you'll be the most frustrated in those areas in your life. Your marriage is what frustrates you the most because you're serving or you're worshiping an idol. It's an idol. And there's nothing in it. It doesn't fulfill. And now you'll go your whole life miserable in marriage and be like, man, kind of glad this is over, which is sad to say. I miss him, but I'm glad it's over. He got on my nerves. And then later on to find out if you did remarry, like, why I'm finding these same problems with him that I had with him? Because it wasn't him. Chances are it was you. And then you worshiping God himself, not these false gods, God, he'll let you know, like, you need to change. Now let me help you change. Don't go running to Ricky Lake and Oprah thinking you're going to get changed. You need to come to me and I'll show you, I can help you change. So don't expect God to bless those things we try to put in his place. And another thing is God responds when we worship. When we look back, when God appeared to Solomon in his dream and asked him what he wanted, it was right after Solomon made an offering to God. He had just worshiped God, went to sleep, and God appeared to him and asked him what he wanted and blessed him. God responds when we worship. Now, when Solomon went and started to worship them other gods, a bell should have went off like, hey, I'm way out of line over here. I know I'm wrong. Because God ain't responding. And I'm pretty sure he realized that these guys ain't responding either. Because God responds when we worship. Now, John 4:24 says, God is spirit, and those who worship him must worship him in spirit and in truth. And the word spirit here, the lowercase s, is the heart. When we worship him in heart and in truth with our whole being, in spirit and truth, we worship God. Pastor just preached last week about the battle of the heart. The idol's battle is for your heart. God warned Solomon that these women would turn his heart away from God. His heart was turned. He started making sacrifices and worshiping other gods. God say, I'm spirit and you must worship me in spirit and in truth, wholeheartedly. So if you half-heartedly serving God, then you got your other half of your heart serving and worshiping all these other gods, you're going to find yourself quite unsatisfied. You'll find yourself quite miserable with life and wondering what's going on and why things aren't happening the way I would like for them to happen. Now, along with Solomon having all this wisdom, and this is my closing, along with Solomon having all of this wisdom and living this grand life, if you read through Kings and you read the whole life of Solomon, you'll see all of the things he's done. But then he also wrote the most depressing book of the Bible. He wrote Ecclesiastes. If you read it in certain verses in Ecclesiastes, Solomon said, man, I did whatever came to my mind. If I thought it, I did it. I was telling Davida and Sade this yesterday that Solomon had YOLO wrapped up before Drake even came on scene. Whatever he felt like doing, he did it. If it came to mind, he did it. He said it. And then, but And then at the end of Ecclesiastes in chapter 12, verse 13, Solomon really, he just gives a whole conclusion of what life is. And it reads, let us hear the conclusion of the whole matter. This is life. The matter is life in itself. Let us hear the conclusion of the whole matter. Fear God and keep his commandments, for this is man's all. Other translations say the whole duty of man is to fear God and keep his commandments. Now you go from somebody that just lived life to its fullest, and all he could come out with when he looked back at life in general, the wisest man that ever lived, the richest man that ever lived. And when he stepped back and he looks at life, he ends it all by saying, fear God and keep his commandments. That's in that statement itself, that's the only way anybody would ever be fulfilled in life. Nothing else can fulfill you unless you fear God and keep his commandments. And and the word fear isn't like being destroyed or killed or harmed, but more of a reference. Not a reference, but a reverence. To reverence God, to fear him, like a child reverence his or her parents. I don't really fear that my parents going to do me any harm and hurt me, but I fear them out of love, out of care. I don't want to disappoint them. I don't want to be unsatisfying or unpleasing to them. So I reverence my parents, but usually we'll call, so you afraid? Yeah, I'm afraid of my parents. Not that my dad gonna kill me or something like that. I just don't want him to be upset with me. I don't want my mom to be dissatisfied with me. And that's what Solomon's saying. Reverence God and keep his commandments. Fear him in such that as a child fears a parent. Don't be one that's cool with displeasing God. Don't be someone who's careless and don't care how God feels about how I live my life. It's mine. Because God will tell you, I gave it to you. And when I get it back, you're going to have to answer for the life I gave you. And as I look back, you didn't reverence me at all. You didn't keep any of my commandments, and you wondered why your life was so unsatisfying. You wonder why your life was so unfulfilled. It's because you didn't reverence me and you didn't keep any of my commandments. No, and it's not the 10. Not just the 10 commandments. The one commandment, love. That's what he really going to look for. If you love fulfills all the other commandments. But we find ourselves trying to worship and serve the gods of pleasure, but yet have a life that's so unsatisfying, so unfulfilled. We feel like failures. We feel like nobodies. Who wants to listen to little old me? Who am I? God thinks highly of you. He sent his son to die for you. He paid the ultimate price for you. You must be something worth having. But when I'm serving these empty gods and just trying to please myself all my life, you'll find yourself quite empty. Even with the accomplishments you may have achieved. You could be the Warren Buffetts and Bill Gates of the world and still find out that, guess what? Money don't bring you happiness. They don't bring you fulfillment. They don't fulfill you. They're unsatisfying. So true satisfaction of life and true fulfillment of life comes from, like Solomon said, fearing God, keeping his commandments. That's the whole duty of man.